Have you ever randomly met really cool people and wished you could get to know them better? That's it. That's the show. Welcome to Season 2 of I Am Not Prepared podcast. One of the reasons why I chose to not do a studio, not rent out a studio is I'm broke. and also I feel like being in my own home creates a level of intimacy that is, that's exactly what I'm going for. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it.
Of course.
Well, we have today Ryan Leddick, local hero, musician, hero of hearts. As I had said to you, through our mutual friend Amanda, it was really a treat to listen to your music. And if you have not listened to Ryan Leddick music, please, socials, Spotify, look him up. And I'll go ahead and drop some locations in the.
Thank you. Yeah.
I do believe in plugging away. It just your music gave me a really warm feeling that felt like I might have already known you or met you at some other point in my life. And so having the treat of your company, the introduction from our mutual friend, I love it when people answer the call when I say, hey, who would you like to listen to? Who would you like to hear from? So please continue to participate. It was a really nice treat to go ahead and get a Zoom going with you and establish a bit of a foundation before the pod. We do have so much in common. And what I really love about you, for you to be new to me as well as a person, I instantly feel the space that you create. So thank you for coming.
No, thank you, Autumn. No, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
One of the things that I love to talk about without measured speech is spirituality.
Yes.
And, we both have experienced pretty significant high impact losses, the loss of a loved one in our lives. And so today I would like to talk about both. I believe that you are game for that.
I am totally game for that, yes.
I guess I will start. I sort of have a Christian belief in spirituality only because I'm American. And
I feel that. I grew up the same. Yeah, I get that.
Having said that, for me, I don't believe in that I need to go through the Son to get to the Father. And I'm not trying to cause any controversy. My God, or my higher power, which I choose to call God, sort of in a Christian sense, my relationship was established through recovery. It was a necessary part for me to recover from alcoholism, and that is an ongoing process. And how I get to know my higher power better is actually this.
Yes.
It's this. For me, I have to get to know his kids better.
Yes.
Because he shows up, man, and he shows up. That's another reason why I'm here today. And also, in terms of loss, I definitely needed to consult my higher power with the loss of my mother, who died of cervical cancer in 2014.
Jeez, yeah.
That relationship is ongoing, and it's deep, and it's vivid, and I get what I give. That's the relationship that I have with my higher power. But we may have different routes to spirituality, so I'd love to hear how you came to.
So similar to you, I grew up in the Christian faith. I grew up a United Methodist, very devout. I went to Bible study. I was a lay speaker in the church. I went to church every Sunday. I spent most of my time in the choir. I think that's where I found my footing in music, alongside just like school choir and just school band and stuff like that. But at least in the church, once I started to grow a little older and sort of find my sexuality a little bit more, and I fine-tuned who I was, I found myself getting farther and farther away. And I think that growing up in a very small community in this country, you find very conservative pockets where people think that the Bible says one thing, but they preach it a different way. And I always found myself in communities where I didn't feel that my spirituality and my sexuality were aligned. And every time that I would say, I don't feel straight, or I don't feel this way, I would always be like blocked around with, maybe it's just a phase. Maybe it's just something like that, you know? And then I got to college and I realized that there are other people like me, you know? Once you get to a place where there's a lot of intersections of people, similar to what you're talking here in the Albany area, where there's an intersection of creatives, a lot of transplants. And a lot of people, as a sidebar, a lot of people say that Albany is a transitory place because it's in between a lot of different places. But that's what makes this place beautiful, is that like it's an easy place to get to other places, but it's a safe place to call home. And I feel like the same with my faith, is that as I started to grow older, I started to get out of the Christian faith and find something that made more sense to me. And I started to work with a few Japanese monks, and in doing so, Japanese Buddhist monks, that is. And as I started to chat with them, I realized that like there's other things out there that can fill that space for me. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful things in the Bible that I still look at, but for the most part, it's been almost like a decade now of me being a Buddhist, and I don't think I'll ever go back, because it gives me such a foundation and a focus that I didn't have with Christianity. Not to say that if you do have Christianity as your focus, that keep with it. But for me at least, I found that the meditation portion of Buddhism, the text, and just how it relates to a creative path. Like there's so many creatives that you don't know that are Buddhist. The reason why I found Buddhism was I felt accepted. I felt accepted in my own authenticity. And I think as a creative, the authenticity portion is very important to me. And I want to be there for other people that kind of feel that authenticity. Especially when it comes to grief, because like grief is everywhere and all-encompassing. I've never lost my mother, but I'm assuming that when I do, it will feel the same as probably what you feel every day. There's always a day where you miss your mother. There's always a day where you're like, I wish I had one more phone call. And those things to me are all encompassing. In Buddhism we talk about death. We talk about death a lot. Not to say that like it's a gloom and doom sort of thing. But we talk about death in a sense that like everything is dying, everything is transitory. And so for me, in my art, in my life, I'm always trying to make sure that everything that I do is always the best that I can do it. Everything that I do is always the most authentic that I can do it, with the most people that I can make feel empowered, especially the people that don't feel like they have a place to go, you know? There's a lot of queer people that don't feel comfortable, and I don't like that. And I think that my faith and other people's faiths can do that within reason, but there needs to be an interfaith connection, I think. And I think that there's a lot of people that feel that way.
It's the human.
Hopefully I'm not talking in circles.
No, it's the human connection. It's the ties that bind, which for me is the extract for this whole experiment I'm calling a podcast.
But it's a beautiful experiment.
It is, and the perspectives and the depth is important to showcase, because folks may know your music, but may not know contextually what your background, how your music is composed of your background. You know, so it's like, yes, I create this thing or provide this service, but here's where all that comes from, and it's the heart connection, the commonalities, and kind of bringing down the. I hate to say strictly Christian when it comes to myself, because my idea of a higher power is the spirit of the universe that presides over us all, and it's just a version.
And that's valid. And I think people take advantage of that, and I think that they think that it's not valid, and it is valid.
such a slippery slope. It
Yeah.
feels like, I know for me, I'm solid in my belief system because I have adopted, through the experience of many, many miracles, a growth mindset. I know that I am here for a specific reason, and I feel like I'm honing my purpose every day. That's just my point of view. I'm ready to accept that at this point in my life. And so my relationship is something that I protect. My relationship to my higher power is something that I protect, but I'm not. When I first got sober, I was like textbook, newly sober person. Have you heard about this thing called God? God can save you. You just want to proselytize, evangelize. You want to go into the bars and tell people the good news.
Yes.
Because the wave of worth for me, the worth, the value that came from knowing that there's another way to live. And I am definitely not here to proselytize about Alcoholics Anonymous or the Christian idea of God or anything.
Yeah.
I'm set with it worked for me. And what's fun is being secure in my person and my belief system that I don't want to hurt anybody today, and I want to grow and I want to help and contribute. That makes it easier for me to talk to people who have another higher power, another version of the higher power. Because I feel like, we talk about it sometimes in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, if we all throw our idea of God into a pot, it's probably all more similar than we think.
Yes.
And I feel it's so nice, Rebecca and I, so my last guest and I talked about, the idea, the ideal community being one, physical community being one, comprised of people who make you feel okay with your belief system. They're okay watching you grow.
Absolutely.
And all of that. The one thing I've never budged on is speaking about God. Should somebody make space for me to talk about that? I have never apologized for my relationship, and I will not necessarily.
And no one should ever tell you can't.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Okay.
I was gonna say, do you have experience being challenged on your beliefs, or have you had some?
I have. Yes.
Okay.
So I've always been told that I shouldn't tell people how to live their life. Just accept it and acknowledge that there's a path that we won't cross. And that crossing point, it might be a parallel universe where at some point they tip. Almost like if you look at like some of those drawings where there's like two lines that make a point past like the mountaintop, It's like a train track. I have had people say to me, so what do you do? Just sit there and meditate all day? I'm like, I wish I had time to do that. Even the Dalai Lama doesn't even have time to do that. But a lot of people think that my practitioner, my work as like my own faith, that is indicative of me giving up on something. I think a lot of people think that I gave up on Christ or gave up on something, where in a sense I actually blossom into something different. Because like what you said, there's always this commonality that everything is similar. Everything is kind of similar. I mean, if you look at Muhammad, you look at any sort of Judeo-Christian, like it's literally, they all preach similar things. It's just under the umbrella of something different. So if you put it in a pot, I guess, yes. I'm not a theologian by any means.
Me either. No. Please, don't at me.
No hate mail to my Twitter account, or X, whatever it's called now. I mean, you probably do that to Elon Musk, but not to me. But having had the experience of being a Christian, a very devout Christian, and transitioning to a Buddhist, it gives you more of a perspective. I mean, I will say that I only see Christians on the street shouting. I do not see Buddhists on the street shouting. I do not see Jews on the street shouting, nor Arabs, or Muslims or anything like that. And it's always amazed me that like people can't do it quietly. People can't do it within their own community. People can't like have shared space, open like their homes, have bread, you know? And I think that that's why I like my music so much, is that I'm able to work with people that I know nothing of. And I'll sit down and start playing, like what you said, there's like an emptiness to it that draws people in. There's a drive with the guitar line. I am a rhythm guitarist. I do not claim to be anything but. And I think that my voice is classically trained, and it shows. I mean, I can't deny that. And it's very powerful. And so I think that is also a way to utilize my art to change people's perspective. And I like that. I really do like that.
How long have you fully realized your gift, like in that way?
2 years ago.
Really? I love it.
From COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
I like there's a lot of comedians that I listen to. Mark Maron's one of my favorites. And he's been doing his comedy act for probably 40 years. And like he just said not that long ago that he feels like he's finally good at it.
Mm.
And I feel the same way. I mean, like it's been like a decade and a half of me professionally playing, but I feel like only these last like 2 years, I felt good enough to play in front of a crowd. I mean, the rest of it before that, I probably felt good enough, but like I didn't have the practice under my belt. I didn't have the vocal practice. I didn't have the technique of playing the way that I play, because I play very different than most people. I taught myself how to play guitar, so I don't... When people see me play guitar, they think I'm in weird tunings. No, it's just that I play fucked up. Excuse the language. But like... Oh, now you're going to have an explicit rating on this.
Oh, no. You should have heard Alex's. It was all F's all the time.
But like, it's fucked up. So like when I play guitar, it's always like... Somebody comes up to me afterwards and is like, "Are you in open tuning? What are you in?" And I'm like, "It's just an E, man. I don't know how." It's like an open E. And he's like, "Are you sure? I feel like there's like a seventh in there somewhere." I'm like, "No, it's just open E tuning." And I get that a lot. But to circle back, it's only been about 2 years, I think. And I know that word, like that phrase, 2 years, for some people is like, are you sure? Because you've been sounding great for a while, but like personally, I've only felt good for these past few years.
I identify with that. There's so much to crossing over thresholds. It's an internal experience when I say that. You know, nobody really knows what they're doing. We have an idea, right?
Yes.
Nobody knows. That's why comparison is the thief of joy, because the person I am comparing myself to...
I love the way comparison is the thief of joy. Can you say that again?
Comparison is the thief of joy. I wish I could claim that, but...
Who said that? That's brilliant.
Google.
I've never heard of it said that way.
It's something... When I'm in my right mind, which means spiritual fitness, when I'm more balanced and even and I'm not falling to pressure, I try to remember that. And it makes me fully realize how unique I am and what my gifts are. And I would bemoan, as a kind of a offshoot, sidebar, you know, I used to bemoan the fact that, like, gosh, every woman in the world is my friend. You know, this is me trying to get dates. This is Autumn who was trying to date.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I wish I were gay. I would like clean up.
So
I would clean up.
You would.
Don't tell me that.
You would. Listen, I know a lot of lesbians that would be all over you.
I have confirmation from a queer person that I would do well. That was not the goal today, but it's something I'll keep in the back of my mind.
Yeah, it gives you a nice little chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, that's all my ego needs is another reason to run wild, right? I'm either way over here or way over there with my ego, but you know, when dating Autumn, hetero dating Autumn was, you know, I couldn't get a date, and I'd bemoan all I can't find a great fit, and then all of a sudden these women would come into my life. Like, I went to a gala last year, and I met all these interesting people, partnered people or single women of all ages, and this time last year, I remember crying about that. I had a fabulous night, and I remember crying about that because why am I only attractive to 60-year-old women? Why can't I find it? Why is there no cute boy attracted to me? And in the last year, that's not true. That's the crazy.
No, but like that's what our mind tells us.
Well, instead of crying over that,
yeah, go ahead.
Hold on to it. Instead of crying over that, it took a few months, like 6 months, for me to say, you know what? People do fucking like me.
Yes.
They like me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to utilize that to uplift other people as much as possible. I do not want to manipulate the fact that people are welcoming and generous of spirit for any. I'm doing this all for free, but feel free to contribute over Spotify and to Ryan too.
Yes. Send money.
Money.
Oops.
It's fine. So instead of, so 1 year later, I've crossed the threshold and accepted my gifts. For whoever wants to pick them up, I'm available. And it's been a hard road. I'm 46. I was 45 when I was crying over that. So I have periodically cried over boys in my life, and it never stops.
Same.
Nice.
Same.
And I think for me it's a huge win for my higher power for me to finally come to this is what you should be doing. And my time has been sucked all in summer in creation mode and accepting these gifts and talents without losing humility. It's just acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance was key for me to recover from alcoholism. It's for me to get through the day. Sometimes acceptance is key. And so what I want to do is take that purpose and uplift other people as much as possible. But
yeah, so what I was going to say is that, like, there's a joke that I always tell people, is that you're all gay until you come out as straight. And it gets a laugh every time.
Why did I take a sip?
I don't know why you took a sip. But, like, all of my friends, even my partner and I always joke about this, is that all you fuckers are all gay until you come out as straight. And we say that primarily because the die has been cast always in the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. Is that whenever I'm in a community, I'm always the one that is forced to come out. Mm-hmm. And as an artist, I'm always thrown into that same, I guess, dichotomy of just like, I'm an artist, but I'm not just an artist. I'm a gay person, a queer person, but I'm not just gay or queer. There's multitudes. It's like what Shrek says, that there's layers to an onion. I love an onion, but like, there's only so many layers that I want to give you. There's a lot of me that's private. There's a lot of me that is important just to me. So when you say, like you're sitting there crying, honey, I feel that. Because there are so many times where I cry primarily because I feel like I'm on the wrong direction. And then I feel like I look at my life, I look at the universe, and I say, why is it so difficult sometimes? Why am I always feeling like I'm going up a hill with buckets on my feet, And I'm always pulling up mud, but only going 2 feet in one direction. And then I look at other people, which I shouldn't do, because it's my journey, not theirs. And then I look at other people, I don't know what they go through. I look at other people, they don't tell me what they go through. Their lives are probably more difficult than mine. And not to say that my heart is harder than their heart, but I always look at it, I try to look at it in the framing of, this is my own journey, and I can only do what I can do, and I can surround myself with people that will lift me up. And if I can get rid of those that do not lift me up, I've done a good service that day. Because of COVID, I think that's one of the reasons why I've only felt like I've been doing it fucking right since like 2020, 2021, because I got rid of those things. I've unshackled myself from my job, that literally tons of microaggressions against me as a queer person It was a very Christian-oriented company. Not to place blame, but they were very conservative. They just didn't understand. And I don't think they wanted to understand. And since then, I've gone full-time with music. I've traveled all over the United States playing music. I've played in places that normally probably never had a queer artist, but because I bend the norm of what a queer person looks like, I can wear flannel in places and not get beat up. And I think that has brought me a new sort of vision of what my music can and will do, and I'm not stuck in a box anymore. And I think that finding people that lift you up and not pulling you down, not questioning you, is a wonderful feeling, because as a creative, you need all the support that you can fucking get. Because if you spend hours and hours and hours and hours a day sitting at a computer screen doing something, you want to make sure that what you put out is like what's going to further you. Like, you're putting this out not just for yourself, but to further your dream, to further that next goal, to further your next opportunity. Manifestation is a thing, but you need to make sure that you're doing it, you're putting in the work. And then to have someone sitting right next to you say, are you sure that that's what you want to do? I'm sorry. Be gone, Satan.
Yikes.
Be gone. Be gone. And comparison is a huge thing in this industry, but also making sure that you get rid of the people. Like, I love my close people. Amanda is one of those close people. I love those people because they'll sit down with me and they'll be like, hey, when are you playing next? I want to hear you. Or, what's new? I want to hear the new shit that you have.
Does my heart good to hear.
It does, because those people see that I have something the world needs. And I am not the only one that understands that anymore. And people probably say the same thing to you. Like, you have a voice now. You're speaking on behalf of the people that probably are not sober, that probably have never heard someone this far along in the sobriety to say, listen, I've done it for such and such years. You can do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It gives me pause. When we talked first over Zoom, there's a couple of things swirling in my head, so you might have to reel me in. I'm in love with what everything you just said.
I've got some coffee. We're good.
Let me address one thing. Spiritual growth by subtraction.
Yes.
I
learned that from Oprah.
Okay, I heard it from, I'm glad to hear that. I heard it from an AA talk, so I had someone came in, so they might have heard it from Oprah too, but it made such sense, and I can see it in my life when I begin to shed, and it's not about being haughty. It's not about, for me, it's not about being haughty or emotional when I make these decisions to leave people, places, and things behind. It's about choosing myself over and over and over again. And as someone who enjoys being a loner, but also needs people, and also desires a romantic relationship, it's very 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and I have to ask myself, am I making it up? Am I building a case? Am I justifying something?
But these are good questions.
They are good questions. Well, the self-examination is part of recovery. Like, I will die the spiritual and eventual physical death if I don't keep churning through what's going on inside me, which is probably another reason why I'm single, because I don't put up with a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, you have high standards.
Yeah.
Give yourself the credit.
Yeah. But the spiritual growth by subtraction is it's an interesting phenomenon, because you really, for me, I really have to be tapped in to see it. And I've got I'm in the middle of a growth spurt. Unfortunately, it's taken 18 months to realize I need to leave this long-term relationship, which is not with a man, so hit me up. No.
Ladies.
I'm just realizing it's time for me to move on from this relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And everything's a setup. That's another thing that my higher power has done for me, is realize that he's setting the table. It's like it's a continuous domino effect, where if I keep reaching, I remember being in a meeting or sharing my story for the first time and saying, it's out there for you. Your recovery, the sober life, the good is out there for you. You just have to keep reaching. It's easy street when I am aligned with my higher power's plan for me. It feels easy. So if there's an area that I've had to fight and fight and fight against, it's time to look at maybe leaving that behind.
Yeah. These past like 4-ish years have been really a slog. Primarily because I've had a lot of death in my sphere of influence. I've had a lot of people leave me of their own choice. Suicide is one of those things that it brings a lot of people out of the woodwork, not only to ask questions, but to wonder why this quiet person decided to take their life. But also, it brings me in a point of artistic endeavor, and it brings me in a point where I think that my art can do justice. And that's how I vulnerably work through things. Other people have therapists, other people have an alcoholic problem, other people have drugs of some sort. For me, it's my guitar, my notepad, or my piano, and just 4 hours worth of time. And lots of tissues. Yes. And so, going back to the separation of people, the separation of people that I didn't want to leave as well is also a deepening understanding of the human experience that I think a lot of people don't want to acknowledge and don't want to talk about. Grief and death are among some of the most common things that we all sort of have through our life. I mean, I'm 33. I know from here until probably when I hit 40, I will probably, if I do hit 40, knock on wood, I will have probably experienced even more. But it adds a depth of humility. It adds a depth of acknowledgement that our lives are transient. And that establishes my faith even more, that everything is in existence for a small period of time. And so if I can jot down a few memories, if I can jot down a few songs that can kind of encapsulate my moment with that person, or my beautiful like light bulb moment that I had with that person, I feel like I've given their life something of value. So a little story behind that. When my brother-in-law passed away by suicide, he died in 2021, around July. And nobody really knew that, I think my sister, his wife, probably knew that he was sort of thinking these thoughts. But like those of us on these spheres really didn't understand, nor did we know the severity of it. God bless her, because she's a trooper. She's the one that found him. She's the one that gave him some sort of life-saving, tried life-saving acts. And she's in the EMS world, so she knows what she's doing. But when he passed away, we had always talked about playing on stage together. We had always talked about doing stuff creatively together. Because he was a guitar player. His first love was the Grateful Dead. I know very little about the Grateful Dead. But now that he's been gone almost 3 years, 2.5 years, everywhere I go every day, I see some Grateful Dead something. It's very interesting how the world works. I will find on someone's belt a Grateful Dead something. I'll see a tattoo of that dancing bear. I will see on someone's car some fucking Grateful Dead lyric. Or somebody will post a video on Instagram of John Mayer with the Grateful Dead, just doing like a tour. Or every day I will hear a Grateful Dead tune. It's mind-blowing how it works. So going back to the story really quick. I was at a gig about a week after he passed. Didn't think that I could play because I was having vocal issues, because once COVID happened, I really didn't perform that much. I really didn't play that much. And so I could only sing about an hour. The gig was 3 hours. And I was thinking, maybe I can get through it. I can turn the mic up and sing softer, hoping that that might get me through. And as soon as I stepped on stage, the person that was doing the sound came up to me and he said, I'm sorry to do this, but the PA system isn't working.
Oh.
And I said, in my mind, I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? Is this the universe testing me? And I thought, is this a practical joke from my brother that just passed away? And so I said to myself, that's fine. We're always on unstable ground. Let's try this as an artist. It's an experience. Even the Tina Turner probably had to play without a microphone. So I can be my queen if I need to be. And so I looked around and I said, okay, that's fine. It looks like we've got some acoustics here. He's like, well, can you perform without a microphone? I was like, well, I went to school for opera. I think I can at least do this for an hour. And he's like, okay. And so I just did a quick sound check. And then all of a sudden, I felt this energy behind me. Like someone who was standing behind me playing. And I've never felt this autumn at any point in my musical career where I was not playing. And I don't mean this to sound all hippy-dippy, as some of my friends would say. You're being a little hippy-dippy. But there was an energy that I've never felt before. I was not playing that day. I was not on stage that day. He was. I was not singing those songs. I didn't go hoarse for 4 hours. That physically should have happened, but it didn't. And so every day that I perform, I don't just perform for myself. I perform as someone that performs for the people that didn't get to this point with me. And I'm very proud of that, because those people that didn't get to this point with me were some of my people that supported me, that I didn't filter out. But they filtered themselves out because I think that they were here too long. So with this album that I'm writing, I'm fine-tuning it to pay homage to him, pay homage to those that are no longer here, and I'm trying my best to make it as authentic and as authentic a memorandum, I guess, as possible. It's very hard to put it in perspective because there's so many different angles that it's coming from, because there's happiness, there's anger, there's misunderstanding, there's a lot of unanswered questions, but all of it sort of circles back to, I guess what you're talking about, just the separation. There's a separation that happens. I can't explain it, but once that happens, in the Buddhist philosophy, there's no separation. It still exists. It just doesn't exist in the physical body. And you can still feel it, and I feel it every day. I feel my grandmother every day. I feel my ancestors every day. I think it was Oprah or Maya Angelou said it. I think Oprah said it afterwards. She's like, I come here, but I stand on thousands. I stand here on the backs of 1,000 ancestors, or 10,000, whatever it was. I think it was from Maya's poem. And I feel that every day. I'm not a woman, so I don't know what it's like to feel like a woman, but I know what it's like to be a part of the queer history. I stand here on the backs of those that fought for me. And I hope that my art can continue to do that for other people that don't have that opportunity. I could talk about this all day.
No, that's why you're here.
But I mean, in terms of suicide awareness, today is National Mental Health Day. I didn't anticipate that, and I think that also is another thing that my brother-in-law is doing. So when I looked at the date, today is October 10th. And this is the strange shit that happens all the time, is the universe places me in situations that I never expected. I never expected to meet you, but here we are having a lovely conversation, and I love that. I think I explained it to a few family members, and I don't think they really got it until I really explained it. The blessing blessing of grief.
Right on.
Because there's as a former Christian, there's blessed are those that mourn. In other spiritualities, there's just like the blessing of that person existing. And I think that that's what it kind of comes down to. Is that I'm not actively saying thank you for dying. I'm actively saying thank you for coming in my life for a small piece of time. And that small piece of time for me is everything. Because you came into my life, whoever you were, experienced something with me and taught me something. This path is long. I might not know what the fuck I'm doing. But I might not know what the fuck I'm doing, but at least I had fun.
God, word. It's such a joy for me to take all of that in. At the top of this discussion, we talked about, or you said to me, you probably think about your mom a lot. And, my relationship with my mother was quite tumultuous. Mine and my brothers, our upbringing was not pretty at times. So let me correlate that back to you. Sorry, let's get off the Autumn show and back to the Ryan show. Do you feel that loss, especially to suicide, has further pushed you into creation? Was it a necessary part of your evolution?
It probably was. It probably was a key factor, and one of the reasons why I now feel like I'm doing it right. I think that full circle on that one. Because when you said to me, at what point did you feel that you were doing it right? And I said, about 2 years ago, when he died. Because I realized I'm fucking wasting my time. And he would have said the exact same thing. I was working a job that I hated. I was working a job that didn't allow me time to be creative. I was working a job that every day I was being harassed for being gay. And I was working a job that didn't acknowledge my existence as a gay person in the actual organization. And at the exact same time, I was saying no to events, gigs, festivals, because I had to work. And that was counter to what I actually went to school for. It's counter to what I actually wanted to do for the rest of my life. I mean, at what point is the universe supposed to beat you over the head and say, okay, fucker, this is what you should be doing? It took me losing one of the closest people in my life to realign the focus. It wasn't COVID. COVID was a byproduct. I thought that was a long vacation because I didn't have to see people. I didn't have to leave my house. I was able to collect unemployment. I was very thankful for that. I still had a job that allowed me to do that. But COVID aside, it really didn't affect me, as sad as it sounds, because I was able to work remotely. I didn't have to work in the public. I was very lucky in that sense. I feel for those that lost loved ones. I'm very thankful that those that were first responders, those nurses, those people that worked at grocery stores, kept this economy alive.
Amen.
If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to survive. But for my own artistic survival, it wasn't until I realized that one person and other people, but this one person that I was very closely aligned to, around my same age, same height, we both looked like brothers, as weird as that sounds, was no longer going to be there. And my first thought was, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? The only thing I know how to do. But do it better. Do more of it. Get stuff on paper that, like, I haven't had the opportunity nor the inspiration to put down. One of the songs on the album is called City Lights. And I sat there on my balcony during COVID, not really understanding what the song would be, but realizing that a dark sky sometimes is battling city lights. And if you can kind of think about like how city lights and a dark sky sort of fend off each other, because without city lights, you don't feel safe. Without a dark sky, you have no rejuvenation the next day. And so once my brother passed away, I realized that like this song had more of a meaning. And the song City Lights is kind of like the epitome of that sort of frustration that I went through, of just realizing that my arch enemy is time. And that every time those city lights come on is another day without that person. When those city lights come on is another day of me acknowledging that I'm doing this for the first time another day. When I'm seeing these city lights come on, it's another day of just me trying to understand what's next. What my next stop will be, what my next song will be, whatever the fuck is gonna be next. And some of these songs are some of the most deep songs that I've ever written. That's one of them. The other one that I'll mention is it's called Echo. Echo, actually. And it's about the separation of silence and a non-human body. And so the song talks about how it's raining outside. You should come in from the rain. You don't want to drown. But you can't see me because I'm 5 feet off the ground. Not hanging 5 feet off the ground, but like I'm standing 5 feet off the ground. You can't see me because I'm no longer here. And the echoes of silence, there's no answer, you know? It's stuff like that that I didn't really start to think about until I started to like think about all of the new things that I was existing through. All of the new normals. The new Christmas without someone. The new birthday without someone. The first time you try to text someone and they don't answer because, oh wait, that new phone number is with someone else now. It's no longer his phone number. Because AT&T sold it. You know? It's shit like that. Like, now when I pass by their house that's now sold, it's not their house anymore. When I see my nephews and nieces growing up, they look exactly like him. But they're not like him. They've changed. But they're still like him. It's the counter pendulum of just like, they are but they're not. Because their lives shifted. Their DNA shifted. All of our DNA shifted when I got that call. All of our lives shifted. My songwriting has shifted.
It's really powerful stuff to take in and really feel like on a cellular level that this is now a part of who you are.
Yeah.
Just
it's like in my eyes now. Yeah, like I'm more focused on certain ways than I never was before. Yeah. I see life differently now. I'm exceedingly inspired by you in this conversation just thus far because I can get incredibly bogged down in the drudgery, taking it from task to task to further my own life. Yeah.
And seeing those as moles that I need to whack, playing whack-a-mole with my own life. Like, yes, I'm moving forward. I'm doing this. I'm doing the things that I'm embracing my gift and I have a power and purpose and direction, but I'm not fucking feeling it.
This is a slug.
Taking the time to sit down and slow down with you. I have forgotten to be inspired and to feel inspired in the things I actually enjoy. Yeah. And instead of this whole the scales tipping. I mean, there's some stuff that's really just abundantly clear for me every day right now, and you've like really put the cherry on the top of a decision that I really need to make.
Well, hopefully it's a good decision.
Oh, it is. It's spiritual growth by subtraction.
Okay, good.
You know, and leaning into accepting, appreciating, acting with that primary purpose of we only get one turn. We only get one life, and how am I using it? And for me, when I crossed over into 40, it was a magical, magical time for me because my give a shit broke. Like, I didn't care about perception for the most part, you know. I still carry insecurities, but like, I just stopped. Like, it's too fucking tiring to worry about all this stuff. Light switch.
Yeah. There's a country artist that has a song, Like Give a Damn's Busted. Do you know that song?
I don't. I need to listen to it.
I forget who it was, but I think it's like, My Give a Damn's Busted. Yeah, it's a very catchy tune. So I understand. That's another commonality.
Let me segue.
Okay.
Because, you know, your friends mean so much.
So when you ask like about like my friend circle and like the lovely gift I've been given from the universe, I always tell people that my friends are I'm trying to remember how I put it, and because like every morning I do a manifest list of thank yous, and I started doing this during COVID to leave my job. And I have now shifted it to like some of my goals and stuff. But so each different manifest is like, thank you for helping me pay off my student loans. Thank you for my wonderful partner. Thank you for my friends that are a amalgamation of networks of empowerment and emotional net worth. I think that's how I put it. And I don't know what it is about the energy around me, but I've been able to circumvent the weirdos in my life and keep them close. It's a wonderful feeling to have someone that's authentically going to tell you whether you fucked up. And give it to you on a plate. And not just like cherry coat it. Or sugar coat it, rather. Like I've had one person... one of my friends, I asked them, I said, should I quit my job and go full-time with music? And they said, do you like rice and beans?
Right.
And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And she said, do you like rice and beans? And she kept on saying that. And I said, I don't understand what you're meaning. She's like, you're literally going to not make money for a while. Are you going to be able to feed yourself? And are you going to be able to be okay with the cheapest meal that you can find that will extend your nutrient value? And I said, I get what you're saying now. Yes, I will be fine. I will be able to feed myself. And she's like, then fucking do it. And it's a way in which we communicate, friends, is that there's a way in which you communicate. There are other people in your lives that will probably sugarcoat it and make it sound like, well, do you really want to do that? And it makes you second guess yourself. And that's not why I want to have a conversation with you. I want to have a conversation with you so I can get authentic feedback. And I think there's a reason why Adele only has 5 good friends. And it makes even more sense now. I mean, I'm not Adele, but I at least know that my value of time is very precious, and the time that I do spend with people, I spend with them because I want to, and I spend with them because it is important to my net worth, and it's important to my emotional health, and I hope it's reciprocal. I hope that mine is doing the same for them. I am a firm believer in quality over quantity when it comes to people. Yes.
That said, I find it ironic, and I'm enjoying. God just kind of put it in my consciousness the other day. Like, I don't really have. This is going to sound worse than I mean, but I haven't made real because I'm not. New Yorkers have a different affect than Texans.
They do,
right?
They do.
And they're not. I'm friendly with a lot of people, but. I don't know if I could jump off the bridge and say I'm friends with a lot of people here, but conversely, I stick my hand out to everyone, and so I talk to everyone. So instead of having replicating the friend group that I have up here, it's like everybody's my friend. Like, and I agree, my energy doesn't, I'm attractive to people who do suffer from mental health issues.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I chose to lean in and accept that is watching my mom struggle my whole lifetime with her stuff. I feel like people are immediately acquainted with an understanding. I must exude some sort of understanding to people without trying, just because I'm practiced. And then, of course, being in rooms of recovery, you're going to see people at all stages of life. But
there's also an energy.
Yeah.
People can feed off that really fast.
Yeah, and that's why when I'm having a bad day, I hate when I'm around people when I'm having a bad day. It's not because I'm
heavily shaking my head.
I feel like I have apologized to my coworkers so much, and I'm like, and they're like, who cares? And I'm like,
I care.
I don't want to. I don't want to be in a place where I feel like I'm vomiting on you. I know I need to take better care of myself to just shut it down. But you guys open the door. I'm gonna walk through it. So we're all ventilating here. But I feel that is not. It's not something I want to hide necessarily. That is authentic to be angry and frustrated and to need to talk about it. But at the same time, I do not want to bleed all over people. I appreciate people who take my hand in this journey, and I'm happy to take someone else's hand, but I don't want the positive value be negated by the several bad days in a row. And I try to stay on top of it, and that's one of the other things that you said around the friendship. But as an overarching theme for my life is, for me, when you know, you know. I've heard that stated in terms of romantic partnership, or I identify that phrase with, oh, I just knew they were the one, right? That hasn't happened for me ever in my life. I've never known about another person ever, a friend or a partner. I've never automatically known that we were it together, but I have known about direction.
Yes, it's like a light in a tunnel. Like, I know that I'm on this right path. I don't know where the fuck it's going. I know there's no taxis. It's a long fucking walk. It is a long fucking walk. It is a dark, dark, dark path. But there's a light somewhere in the distance. And every day, I get wind of a smell that shows that I'm on the right path. I just don't know where this path is leading me. And I'm cognizant of the fact that not everybody feels these same feelings that I feel. And so like each person is going to experience it differently. And so some of my friends, like you, they like to talk. And I'm on the other end. I'm kind of the extroverted introvert. Whereas I have a certain amount of hours that my ability to talk, and you caught me at a good time. The mornings are normally the best.
Okay, same.
Yeah.
You have helped me tremendously.
Well, I'm glad.
Not only by creating this pod, but this is the stuff, this is the lightning in the bottle, is what spiritual movements are, what they look like. My stuff is listening and storytelling and things like that. So we all have our vessels.
Yeah, and you're really good at it. I hope you know that. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. But like you're really good at it. And I just want people to know that similar to what I said before, you are where God wants you to be. You are where you're supposed to be. Be patient. I try to tell myself that all the time.
Why is that so hard?
Why is that so hard? Exactly. Why is it so hard to be patient with where you are? Like, every book I read about self-improvement is always, the path is the reward. The path is the reward. The end is your goal, yes, but the path is what makes your life worth living. Even the Dalai Lama says people work their whole life to then retire and then live their life. You should be living your life now.
Amen.
That's what Buddhism taught me. As a Christian, I didn't know that. What I was taught as a Christian was that I needed to put things in my body and I needed to hide them. I needed to not talk about them. I needed to give it up to God and then focus on being a good Christian. Focus on being good unto others as you would want done unto you. And then when I became a Buddhist, I realized it's all of our jobs to do unto others as we want done unto ourselves. And also, we must focus on living now. And what you've taught me today is that like living now is not just one person's thing; it's a community. And I like that there's artists out there that are also speaking the same verbiage. That just because you're a DJ, just because you're a muralist, just because you're a poet, doesn't mean that your words are not important. We're all important. We all have different parts of this recipe. And I don't know how I fit, but I know that my art is important, and I want people to hear it. I think that's kind of my own understanding, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
More people should invest in themselves and go a step further and speak their truth. Because speaking something, from my perspective, speaking it into existence by claiming it in front of another human being.
Makes it real.
It does make it real, but that implies fear. I'm riddled with fear a lot, but becoming acquainted with who you are and who I am in front of another person gives me more dimension, and you get to know my higher power. And so being that vessel, being that conduit, and same here, I've learned quite a lot about Buddhism from you, just from us.
And I'm only giving you just the dust.
It's high level, yeah.
Yeah.
I respect the high level, yeah.
I'm only giving you the dust because a lot of the shit I don't even know.
Well, it's so nice to know that, you know, in my Rolodex of people in my mind, you know, I don't have all the answers, and none of my friends or acquaintances. But if there's somebody, if I happen to meet somebody in passing and talk their ear off, you may be able to help. Now I know there's another dimension.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is the coolest thing, to be able to say I know somebody, not for clout, but I can't help, but maybe someone else can help.
Exactly.
And that is such a real thing to say I don't know, and to own I don't know. But
I'll find someone that does.
And to continue to seek the answers.
Absolutely.
You know, I would like to wrap with
Sure.
you detailing, I know that you have an album coming up. It's forthcoming. If you would like to give us either what you're working on in the interim, or any details about the album, any timelines, dates, or anything, any reference material you'd like for us to look up.
It's a lot to think about.
Plug away. This is the plug section of the podcast.
Well, I have a growing list of people that have signed up for my newsletter, and I am slowly trying to expand that list. So I will give you the link to the form.
Oh, excellent.
So that you can put that in the details. But at Ryan Leddick Music, Leddick Music is my Instagram. RyanLeddick.com, you can see where I'm playing next. I'm not sure when this is going to air, so I don't want to give out too many dates, but I will say if you go to shows on my website, you'll find the current listing. The album, it's in current production, so we're slowly recording. I just finished the first song, so I'm really excited about that. That song is called Boston, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's about one of the cities that means a lot to my partner and I. Has a huge backstory, but I won't say that because I want you to enjoy the song. I want to practice what I preach, because often I don't.
word.
Yeah. I'm trying to self-edit, but not completely edit. But I think the biggest thing that I will say is that if you go out and listen to my music, if you go out and hear me play, or if this is your first time hearing me at all, I hope that my music gives you something to think about. I hope my music makes you feel more accepted. And if you are queer, trans, non-binary, questioning, know that I have a contact form on my website. If you ever feel that you need to talk to someone, I will email you back and forth, or I will give you some person to talk to, because your life is more important than someone else's words. Because far too many of my friends have took their own life because they do not feel safe. So before I start crying, I just want to say thank you, Autumn, for having me. It's been a treat. Thank you.
It has been a treat, and you're not done yet. We have
that's right.
3 sign-off questions. What is your favorite sitcom?
Well, I do love Seinfeld. I will give you that. But as of late, it has been Schitt's Creek.
Oh!
I feel like my partner and I have rewatched and watched maybe about 20 times. Before it was Schitt's Creek, it was The Office. And before The Office and Schitt's Creek, it was Will and Grace and Everybody Loves Raymond. But now it's Schitt's Creek, I think.
Do you prefer sunrise or sunset?
Sunset. I am a night owl.
Okay.
I would rather wake up at noon and go to work at 8 p.m. So I love the sunsets. My partner, on the other hand, is a morning person, and he has the energy of a squirrel at like literally sunrise. And he's like packing up the nuts, you know? He's just like going around getting nuts. I'm just like, whoa, it's not even time for coffee yet.
Okay, and then lastly, this has proven to be such a fun one, so I'm curious what you have to say about this.
Okay.
If you were a Care Bear, which picture would be on your belly? What would be depicted on your belly? What would be your Care Bear stare?
It would probably a 4-leaf clover. I didn't know how much my Irish heritage would be important to me until my grandmother was on her, I think her 4th level of Alzheimer's. And me trying to understand my roots. And so I think that the 4-leaf clover would mean a lot to me. And also, most of my favorite folk artists are not from this country. So they're either from the Isles, or they're from the UK, or Canada. Something that's related to the UK somehow. But I think 4-leaf clover. That, and who doesn't love a good tweed hat, right?
That is so awesome. Thank you for leaning into that question. I know that I did not preview that at all with you, but I think that's part of
it's the spontaneity.
That's the lighting in the bottle. It's been a lovely day for me.
Even with potty breaks.
Oh my God, I'm ready for my next one. That's why Thank you, Ryan.
No, thank you.
I am so proud to know you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.